Hey you. Yeah, you. Do you want to get the best frames possible in Call of Duty Black Ops 6? Well, guess what? You've come to the right place. You don't have to buy new hardware. No, you don't have to. That's all I could think of anyway. But so you don't have to do that. I'm going to just show you how to do it right now. Do you have an AMD graphics card? I hope, because AMD is pretty good now actually. But so if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you can still follow the steps in this video, because we're going to be going through the Radeon software first. However, you can open up your control panel, and then if you see settings like this, you can also probably change them as well, or your NVIDIA GeForce experience, especially once we get to the recording section. And I will have timestamps below, so feel free to, skip around, check it out. This video might end up being pretty long, but this is going to be the all-around package, I guess, on getting the most performance possible. So what you're going to do first, be on your desktop. You're going to go down here to your control panel, open that puppy up, and then you're going to look for this red logo, this little red icon right here. That's your AMD Adrenalin Edition software. Right click or double click and open AMD software. First off, I don't know why it keeps saying now playing Minecraft, because I have definitely not been playing Minecraft for 8 days. I haven't played it in 8 days. For some reason, it still thinks that I'm playing Minecraft, which is kind of crazy. Okay, that is actually really weird. I'm not sure why it still thinks. So, all right, I guess I'm playing Minecraft. This week, apparently, I've logged 214 hours. I haven't played it in like 8 days. Whatever. So, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and double check some kind of starter things, right? So you're going to make sure your graphics are up to date. Time of this video recording, we are at November 5th, 2024. So your graphics driver should be 24.10.1. And then if you're watching this down the road, just make sure you're updating. Make sure, just check for updates. I check it once a day, once every couple days, just to make sure. And then right over here, you're going to click gaming. And if you have a game open, apparently I have Minecraft open, still playing. I don't know, whatever. But if you have anything open in the moment, make sure you close out of it and then go ahead and just click the back arrow. And that will take you to your global graphics, or your global games. And then click graphics. Right here, most people by default, you'll probably have Hyper RX or RX Eco enabled. But for this, we're going to go ahead and just move over to custom. And then double check you have the GPU selected that you want. I have a Ryzen 5 7600X, so if you have a 7000 series or above, or a 4000, 8000 series, anything like that, and you have an integrated graphics, just make sure that that is not what you're tweaking, because you're going to be gaming on your actual discrete GPU. Scroll down here a little bit, and then all of it, these are your global graphics settings. So these are not game specific, these are going to be for every single game. And then if you have a, your games tab is something we'll get to later, but this is for every game. General settings pretty much. So what you're going to do is, I do not run super resolution, so disabled. If you have that, you can run it, and that's fine. But if you want to just follow my guide, we're just going to go down the list. Super resolution off. AMD Fluid Motion Frames 2 off. We will get to this later. This is going to be turned on game specific, and I'll use Minecraft as an example because that's a game that does not have it in the actual game graphics settings. So with Fluid Motion Frames, AFMF, we're going to just call it that from now on, AFMF, if you have that running, it's going to be less input lag if you run it on the actual game engine settings. So if it's an option in your game, which it is for Black Ops 6, you're not going to have it on graphics side. So you don't want it in your drivers, you want it in the actual game engine. All I know is that you will have less input lag if you have it off for your global settings and turn it on per game, pending if the game has the setting or not. So go down to anti-lag on, enabled. We want to reduce as much input lag as possible. So Radeon Boost, disabled. Chill, disabled. Image sharpening, disabled. Video upscale. This is not going to affect your games. However, I do run it enabled because this is for, say you're watching a video. You can even make it so it works in Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome. It's just like one of those nice little quality of life features that the 6000 and 7000 series cards have. So I run enabled with 80% sharpening. Scroll down a little bit. So we got Radeon Enhanced Sync. disabled, vertical refresh off unless application specifies. You could run that always off or off unless, but I just do off unless, just in case. Frame rate target control off. However, if you run FreeSync, which is something that I do not run because I have a 180 hertz monitor, and usually, especially if you follow this guide, you're going to be getting well over 180 hertz. If you have, like, say, I think the most common gaming kind of monitors are usually 144. If you run those and you don't have hardware that's going to push your games over 144 most of the time, you want to have this enabled. If you're running FreeSync, and then you want it a little under, so 142 or 141, because you do not want it skipping over the FreeSync range. So 144 hertz with FreeSync or G-Sync on, you'll want to have your max FPS capped under the FreeSync range. And don't put it at 144 exactly, because it will go over. It usually goes plus or minus a couple. So for my screen is 180 hertz, so if you have something like that, I would honestly probably do 6 and then run it like that. But I do not do that because we are pushing over 180 FPS in this game. And this is another one you can turn on game specific as well. So anti-aliasing, use application settings, anti-aliasing method, multi-sampling, morphologic anti-aliasing disabled. I can never say this correctly. Anisotropic filtering enabled. Filtering level is 8x. Texture filtering quality is standard. Surface format optimization enabled. Tessellation mode, use application settings. I cannot talk, dude. OpenGL triple buffering disabled. 10-bit pixel format disabled, and then reset shader cache. Wow, I really cannot speak English. Reset shader cache. That is something that you can. Honestly, I would recommend just doing it, especially if you've had your hardware for a while and you've been playing a lot of games. I just recently did a full reset, so yeah. So that's it. That's it for the graphics settings. So now we're gonna go over to games, and this is what I'm showing you just for, you know, something, say for Call of Duty. In the actual game settings, because all of the game specific ones are going to match your custom gaming experience. Just use global experience custom. Radeon super resolution should all match, right? So we have AM/FM off, anti-lag is on, and everything else is exactly what it used to be, or exactly what it is in global. And then when you have a game like Minecraft, so you click on this. This is such a cursed thing of Minecraft. I don't get it. It doesn't have a logo. Apparently I've been playing it for a week straight. It's like, I have the normal Minecraft launcher. I've owned it since beta, but whatever. Anyway, this one is an example of where you would turn this on in the actual game specific settings. And then because it's not an option in the actual game graphics settings. So back out of that. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to settings. Display, and then over here you can turn on, oh, this is for my other monitor, so I run multiple monitors, so mouse over these until you find the one that's doing a red outline of the screen that you are gaming on. For me it's display 2, and then you'll see right there it's, yep, DisplayPort 7900 XT. These ones, this is the example I was talking about, so either it'll say AMD FreeSync or Adaptive Sync, whatever it is. If you have it on your monitor and you want to use it on this, you can enable it in here. GPU scaling enabled. I'm pretty sure this is all just default. And then you can open up your display specs. You can scroll down right here and it'll show you your FreeSync range. So for me, the FreeSync range goes from 48 to 180 hertz, and that's what tells me for that other setting that I should be using once, you know, frame rate limit at 176 if I'm using FreeSync. And then you're going to go up here to preferences. Yeah, so you want to make sure you have your in-game overlay on, which is typically going to be Alt-Z. That way, you know, you could open up Alt-Z while you're in a game, and then you can access these gaming settings. So for example, you know, you're playing a game, Alt-Z, you can open it in here and you can turn this on yourself mid-game. So that's a pretty nice little feature. And then real quick, I want to show you smart technology. Open this up And if you have the option to do smart access memory, always enable that. You'll have an option for smart access memory, AMD SAM, not to be confused with Landrian, the regular on the channel. AMD SAM is an option that you're able to select if you have an AMD graphics card and an AMD Ryzen CPU. So this is definitely something you want to enable if you're allowed to, or if you're able, yeah, if you can. Another thing is if you're recording, you can go over here to record and stream. In your settings, real quick, I'll just show you what I use. So I use always record desktop because that's the only way I'm able to record what I'm showing you right now. So record desktop enabled, show indicator off, but if you turn that on, it'll just kind of show you on like, actually, you know what? I am going to turn that on because I have an ultrawide, so nobody's ever going to see it. So yeah, you can have an indicator on, borderless region capture. No, I don't use that at all. So recording profile, custom, resolution, just do in-game. FPS, it's not really required, especially if you're recording this for like YouTube. You're only ever going to be able to use 60 FPS to upload there anyway. So 60 FPS. For my monitor, for the resolution, this is what I used for 4K and then also now for the ultrawide. So the ultrawide is 3440 by 1440. And then typical like 4K is going to be 3840 by 2160, I believe. So if you're using those, even if you're using 2560 by 1440p, the normal like 1440, I would just use 80 megabits per second. So, or megabytes per second. Megabytes. That's weird because megabits per second is Mbps, but it doesn't really matter. So either way, just have this at 80 and then audio bitrate 192. Video encoding type AV1. If you have the option for AV1, always use that. If not, the next best, If not AV1, the next best thing is HEVC, HVEC, or HEVC, whatever you want to call it. Don't use AVC though. AVC is, I'm gonna say it's kind of garbaggio. So AV1 if you have the option, if not HEVC. Audio channels, always just do stereo. If it's an automatic, it'll probably already do stereo anyway, but just choose stereo regardless. Separate audio track, or mic track. So this is what I do because it makes it easier for video editing. So this basically makes it so you'll have two files every time you record something. So you'll have the video, the MP4, where it's going to be desktop audio. If you have people on Discord, it's going to be recording that. And then the game audio, anything on your desktop. And then it'll also have with the same name, but it'll be M4A, like an audio file. And that's just going to be whatever your microphone input is. So it makes it so much easier for video editing because, if I want to turn my mic up or something, it just gives you a lot more freedom with the actual editing on it. And then record microphone. That's pretty self-explanatory if you want to have your voice. If not, you don't need to have either of these checked. Just have them both off. Mic level. I use outboard gear, so I have a SM58 going into an audio mixer, and then mixer going into an audio interface going into my computer. So I have my mic level at 80. You could set that to, I would just mess around with it a little bit, hit record, see whatever your mic is recording at. In your Windows settings for your input device, I would just set that input to 50. So that's kind of the best way to do it that I've found at least. And then audio boost, I have it on high. You can have your audio boost on high or low, but I wouldn't leave it off because then it's going to be really quiet if you're using the same kind of thing that I'm doing. Push to talk, that's an option for you. If you do that, then definitely jump to your hotkey so you can make sure you have a push to talk hotkey set. Media save locations, I would recommend not having especially if you're using these settings for higher, because these videos are going to be really high quality, but they're also going to be pretty big files. So have a different, SSD, hard drive, whatever you want. Just make a folder, whatever you want in there. And then AMD software will actually, for the most part, auto sort it. If say you have AMD recordings as a folder, and then you boot into it. Wait, I'm just gonna show you. I got my SSD right here. So I have AMD recordings. This is a folder that I just made myself, right? So I just made AMD recordings and then selected that in the media location. But whenever you go in here and you record a game, you know, I play 2042, record it, it will automatically create this folder for me. And then anything I recorded in there, it'll be in here. And then you can see right here. So this is this was recorded at 5:30 on July 2nd. That's the MP4 file. And then that's the file with my actual like mic audio if you have it separated. So that's how you'll be able to know. Just look at the times. That's how I do it. So yeah, just have that selected. And then you could do instant replay. However, if you're going to do instant replay, say you turn this on. Okay, so I stopped recording because I turned it on and I had to restart recording because with instant replay, it's weird, man. If you have the separate microphone track enabled, for some reason, with instant replay also turned on, this has been a bug for a while. It doesn't record the mic tracks. It's weird. I mean, I'm sure it's something that I'm doing wrong, so I'm not going to try to explain to you how to do it correctly. But I will say it's always worked perfectly fine if I just have microphone track not separated. You can still record audio. It'll just be all in one video file. But if you do that, instant replay makes it so you make a hotkey, you decide how many seconds you want to go back. Say you do something cool, you have it set to 120 seconds. Hit what it might would be Control-Alt F9, and then it will clip the last 2 minutes. So it's nice, you know, if you're just trying to get highlights, stuff like that. You can set it to 30 seconds, 60. I think you can go up to like 10 minutes if you want. Or you could do what I do and you just record the entire time you're playing and then sift through hours of footage all the time to find like 3 good clips. So it's up to you. So yeah, that's what you want to do. And then to find your hotkeys, you're going to click Settings. Hotkeys right here. Use hotkeys, make sure that's enabled. And then you got Media hotkeys right here. So that would be for instant replay. Change that to whatever you want. Toggle recording. Mine's just Alt F9, all reliable. And then if you have that as like toggle, it's just Alt F9 will start, and then if you hit it again later, it'll stop the recording. So, and you can also make it so you can toggle your mic on and off. You can do whatever you want. Middle mouse if I want to do push to talk, but I have it disabled. So that's like the settings that I use for recording. Display settings, this one's pretty much up to you. Just mouse over until you get the red outline on the display that you want. The only thing that I don't even use G-Sync or V-Sync on this, but you could turn that on and then have it on your monitor, but this will say either adaptive sync or free sync, whatever it is. For some reason it says adaptive sync, which is weird. This will also show you your monitor's free sync range. I wouldn't change any settings that much for this, but audio and video, you do AMD noise suppression, input device, turn that. Hey, for all we know, maybe the static that I've been combating for so long on my microphone input, maybe that's gone now. Yeah, those are the settings you're going to do in here. Now let's go ahead and hop into the game and see how it works. All right, so now that we've actually changed the AMD Radeon software settings, and we're in the game. I'm over here in multiplayer Black Ops 6, and then obviously if you're running an NVIDIA card, which I think still a pretty big majority of people are using, you can change your settings in the GeForce Experience. You're going to go over here to your settings, right up here at the top right. Click Graphics. And now we're just going to run through these. I'm going to try to be a little quick with this, just so you can just kind of follow along. You don't have to sit here and listen to a bunch of jargon. So full screen borderless is what I run for display mode because I run 3 monitors. So if you run more than 1 monitor, I would do full screen borderless. That way, if you want to, say I'm going to click I'm going to click on my left monitor. You probably noticed it got silent. That's the only thing it'll do. Versus if you have it on full screen exclusive, it will minimize whenever you do that. Which is, I don't know. If I click something to, call somebody on Discord or whatever, middle of a game, I hate when that happens. And somebody actually showed me through the comments of my last graphics video, they pointed out that I was wrong when I said full screen exclusive is required for FreeSync. So you can use borderless and FreeSync works. So they were correct. before we move on real quick, if you only have one monitor, I would recommend just do full screen exclusive, because there is a little bit of input lag, I guess. So less input lag if you do full screen exclusive, but I've never noticed a difference. So make sure your display adapter, if you have a Ryzen CPU 7000 or above, they will have integrated graphics. So just double check, make sure that's not selected, because then your game's going to run not well. Make sure your refresh rate is matching what your actual monitor is. If it's not, like for example, it was at 144. What I had to do to change that was I switched to full screen exclusive. It won't let me drop it down, but full screen exclusive, apply, change that, apply, and then full screen borderless, and then apply, and then it'll all be good. So I play on a 21:9 monitor. So I have 21:9, but most monitors are going to be 16:9. Make sure your resolution matches. Do not click this yet. That comes later. Display gamma, if you're using a computer monitor, 2.2. If you're using a television, 2.4. Gamma and brightness, I run mine at 55. I've been doing this for every COD in the past like 5 years or so. I don't know why. That's just what I do. And I also, if you're curious, let me double check right here. So my monitor display brightness is 80, and my game brightness is 55. Down here, going to go to sustainability, eco mode preset, low consumption. I don't know why it's on that. I have custom, yeah. So eco mode preset, have that down over here. Oh my gosh. All right, start over there. So now we're going to scroll down to sustainability. Eco mode preset, custom. VSync gameplay, always off, dude. I don't know why anybody would use VSync. VSync menus, 50% is what I run, just because you can see it's locked at 90. So my display refresh rate is 180 hertz. So 50% just locks it at 90. Optional, you could also just have this off. And then, you know, if I turn it off and then I apply, you can see it just shoots up to whatever it wants to be at. So I'm going to go back to 50%, apply settings. Custom frame rate, unlimited, definitely unlimited. And then if you go over here, you'll see if you had it custom, then you'd be able to make changes here, but I don't do that. Also, out of focus frame rate, this is whenever if you tab out of your monitor or if you click off, it'll just go down to 30. But I don't like that. Even though these settings are nice, because I could set this to 90 for the menus, and I could have this at 30, so that way if I tab out for a little bit and I forget the game is running, it's not going to use a bunch of resources. However, that will still lock you to 300 hertz or 300 FPS. So I don't do that. I just do unlimited. And then scroll on down here, reduce menu render resolution. Just leave that thing at native. Pause game rendering, off. Reduce quality when inactive, off. Focus mode. This is another one. So if you have multiple monitors and you want to say you have YouTube and you don't run like dark mode or something like that on a different monitor, you can turn this up to like, I would recommend like 50 or 60%, but you could also just make it 100%. And what it'll do is it'll black out your monitors on the other screen. So you could do 50% and it'll reduce the brightness by 50%. You know what I mean? So I just run mine at 0 though. HDR off. And then apply settings. Go over here to quality. Graphics preset, custom. This is the main screen that we're going to be making a lot of changes on. So follow me here. Render resolution, 100. It's dashed out, but 3440 by 1440. Just make sure that matches. Dynamic resolution, off. Upscaling / sharpening. If you have an AMD card, this is important. FSR 3. Do not run FSR 1. FSR 3. That is the new technology, and it's incredible. If you have an AMD card and you do not have FSR 3 as an option, use Fidelity FX CAS. CAS strength, I use 100, but you can do 80, 90, or 100. And honestly, that's what I ran for like Modern Warfare 3, and I thought it works pretty well, but FSR 3 is definitely still the best. If you're running FSR 3, this also goes for people that have NVIDIA cards. your option will be, I think, NVIDIA DLSS. So you, NVIDIA people, NVIDIA DLSS, AMD people, FSR3. If you do not have FSR3, Fidelity FX CAS. And I also believe NVIDIA people can use Fidelity FX CAS as well. So FSR3, show more. I use quality. I would use either quality or balanced. I would not use performance or ultra performance for FSR or DLSS, because that's when you'll start to kind of notice, you know, a little bit of like pixelation, like artifacting. But balanced or quality, I think, are really good. So if you have, say, let me think here. If you have a AMD card, this is just from my general knowledge, so don't take this as a fact. This is my opinion as well. So I think if you have a RX 6700 XT, 68, or, you know, 6700 XT or above, or if you have a 7000 series and you have a 7700 XT or above, I would recommend just doing quality. And if you don't really like the frames you're getting from that, then you can go down to balanced. But if you have anything below those cards, you know, say you have a 7600 or you have a 6600, 6650, anything like that, I would just do balanced. But once again, do not go down to performance or ultra performance. Unless you don't care what it looks like and you just want to get as much FPS as possible, by all means, go for it. VRAM scale target. So NVIDIA cards are not known to have as high of VRAM as AMD cards are. So for example, I have the 7900 XT, which is 20 gigabytes of VRAM. So I run mine at 75. If you run something like Discord in the background, I think Discord is known to use quite a bit of VRAM. So you just want to make sure you're not hitting the limit of that, because then you'll hit like hitching, which is not good at all. And now we're going down to details and textures. Texture resolution, normal. Texture filter anisotropic, it's hard to say, normal. Depth of field, off. Detail quality, low. Particle resolution, very low. Bullet impacts, on. Persistent effects, on. Shader quality, low. On-demand texture streaming, optimized. Local texture streaming quality, normal. So with these settings, I've experimented with these quite a bit. This is, at the time of recording, it's November 5th, and I've been playing since launch. And to be honest with you, I played the campaign, I played the first couple missions on extreme settings, and now I'm playing on this, and I really do not notice much of a difference visually, apart from it's so much easier to see people now, and the FPS is probably double of what it was when I was running that. So you're not really sacrificing anything here. And there is a couple settings, I believe. Texture resolution, I would definitely run that at normal or low. If you have like a lower end card, you can go to low and you won't notice anything, but I don't think I would want to go down to very low. And then as well for texture filter anisotropic, I think this one, if you have a lower end GPU, you could do low, but I just run mine at normal. Let's see. All right, now shadow and lighting. Shadow quality, very low. Screen space shadows, low. This one you could turn off, but even just from this little photo, this is why, I don't know, I like it. You might be able to see people a little bit better, and you'll probably get a little more FPS, but I prefer to have have it look a little pretty at least. So I run mine at low. And that's just like your shadows that you'll be seeing like on objects you're carrying around, running around with. Occlusion and screen space lighting, off. Screen space reflections, off. Static reflection quality, low. Okay, environment. Tessellation, off. Volumetric quality, low. Deferred physics quality, off. Weather grid volumes, low. This one you could turn off, but I like seeing a little bit of rain every once in a while. Water quality, off. This one I've definitely noticed, like, there's absolutely no difference other than more FPS. Like, you're playing in a competitive FPS, you don't need it to look super pretty. And you're going to see, like, you're going to see things so much better, dude. Especially when people love swimming in this game, so it's a lot easier to notice them in there if you have that off. All right, so let's go over here to hit apply settings if you haven't. Click view over here. These ones, oh my goodness gracious. You just wait till we get down to that. I feel very strongly about motion blur, but motion reduction, I cannot talk today, dude. Motion reduction preset off. Field of view, this is personal preference. I turn mine all the way up. I want to see every possible pixel I can. At the bare minimum though, do not go below 90. I think 105 is kind of a nice spot if you're playing on like a television maybe. But if you're playing on a monitor where you're a little closer up, I put that thing all the way up. ADS field of view affected. Weapon field of view wide. If you run wide, the weapon is smaller on your screen. That basically is just determining how much of your screen your weapon will be taking up. So wide is what I used. Third person, I don't think anybody uses third person, but if you do, you want that as high as you can get it. Vehicle field of view wide. Always turn off motion blur. In any game you ever play, trust me, film grain, motion blur, all that stuff, turn it off. So motion blur, world off, weapon motion blur off. First person camera movement, turn these down to 50. Least, third person 50. Because you want your camera moving as minimal as possible. Third person ADS transition. Once again, I don't play third person, but if I do, I want to have my sights. So first person ADS. And then inverted flashbang. This is a hidden little gem in here too. If you turn this on, your screen will go black instead of white. And it is so much better. There you go. So go ahead and click apply and then move on over here to audio. So these are my audio settings. You can copy these if you want. This is just what I prefer to have. So typically I do bass boost, headphone bass boost. But Sucker Punch, I have no complaints about that. And then another thing about the audio, going back to the stereo mono thing, make sure this is off as well. Mute game when minimized, that's up to you. That's one of the things where if I click off, it'll mute my game. Mute licensed music. If you're streaming, definitely turn this on. I don't, because I'm not really worried about it. But if you're going to stream, definitely turn that on. Reduce tinnitus sound. I turn that on and it's so much better, dude. Because if you get, shell shocked or flashed, it doesn't give you that ringing. I don't know why. I just hate that the really high frequency. It's like really sharp, like ice picky. So I turn that on. Hit marker preset. Personal preference. If you like the default, the new ones, or if you like the classic, it's up to you. I just run default. And then one of the last things we're doing over here, we're going to go to interface. So for interface, telemetry, here we go. So if you're wondering how I'm getting FPS and then my ping up here, it's telemetry. Ooh. So drop that down, put custom on, and then you can select what you want. If you want to have packet loss, so normally you could click that and it'll turn it on, but for some reason it doesn't work. But yeah, you can turn on GPU temp, 69, nice. It's awesome. VRAM usage. If you're worried about it, we're at 30% right now. You can put up a clock on there if you want to. If you only have one monitor, actually, that is kind of nice. You could have, so you can monitor your time. But yeah, definitely at the very least, I would put FPS and server latency on. If you don't care about FPS, that's fine, but definitely it's nice to see what your ping is. And then I think the default for minimap is circle, but I ran square. I like square. I guess, I don't know. The only settings down here that I would recommend you change, and I'm going back to it right now, over here, I like to have a crosshair off. I like to have center dot. So center dot gets rid of the whole crosshair, just gives you the center dot. And then I run mine large, or largest, sorry. So largest. You can also change the color of your crosshair. I just run yellow, so it's easier to spot. You can change the opacity of that thing, everything. We're going to be going over to interface. Sorry, I forgot about something. Go ahead and click apply. There it is, readability. So readability, go ahead and go down here to customization for colors. The big thing that I would recommend, everything is personal preference. Enemy though, I would definitely drop that open And then in the custom settings, make sure it's as red as you can possibly get. Yep. And then once you get that good to go, go ahead and click apply. Color filter. Definitely filter 2 if it's not already there. Filter target, both. World color intensity and interface color intensity, 100. And then go back. Click apply if you haven't. And then what you're going to want to do is go back to graphics. Display. Right here. Once you're done with everything, click restart shader preloading. Click that. And then you're going to restart your game. You're going to click that. Click yes, anything you need to. And then just hit escape or back or whatever you need to until you restart. And it'll completely restart your game. Once your shaders are done doing the full preload, everything should be good to go. And now, I'm going to go ahead and run this benchmark here. Now I'm going to show you. So I showed you the ones originally with like extreme settings, with FSR, without FSR, stuff like that. And now I'm going to run benchmarks with the settings that we now have applied. So, without further ado, and there you have it. So dude, it's been a while since I actually did it's been a while since I recorded the extreme ones. So I don't exactly remember what they were. But it's going to be up here on the screen for you now. And you can see to compare it. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you. Got to get a little cringy here. Don't forget to like and subscribe down there. You can't see because I don't have a face cam, but I was pointing down. As in like below this video, there's a button down there. It's got a thumbs up. Press that. Make sure your mouse works. Thanks for watching. I love you.